Welcome back to Mac Talks of Football. And Sunderland and Manchester United have ended up playing a goalless draw at the Stadium of Light. And if I'm being very honest with you, it was a really boring game of football. I'm quite surprised by that as well. I sort of understand it as well, but I'm still quite surprised because to be very honest with you, Manchester United have already qualified for the Champions League. There's nothing really much to play for Manchester United apart from there's an outside chance that they might topple Manchester City and end up finishing in the second place. But it has not really worked out. Sunderland, on the other hand, there's an outside chance. There's a good chance that if they would have won that game, that they would have they can still try to finish in the European places. So there was a lot of incentive for Sunderland to go ahead and win the game and try to get the 3 points. There was another sort of incentive for Manchester United, so to win this game and make it 4 games in a row, so that guy, United stand guy, can finally cut his hair. But talking about football, I really, if I'm being very honest with you, I really don't think that either of the sides are really put the enough effort into the game. If I'm being very honest with you, I think it was quite a dull game of football. I really did not at any part of this game, in the entirety of that 90 minutes plus the extra time and whatnot, I did not feel excited for once. It did not mean, I did not feel that Sunderland going to go ahead and score or United are going to go ahead and score. It was quite a flat game, a flat performance from both the sides. It felt like it felt like the players were already in holiday mode, or their mindset, their mind is towards the World Cup. If I'm being very honest with you, the way that the game was played at, the pace, the rhythm, everything, it was really slow. There was no real urgency from either side. It was overall, it was a flat game of football, and I sort of understand as well, especially from United's perspective. You want to win the game. I understand, I get that you want to finish the season on a high. You want to get as many points as well because it helps, mentally winning games. It gives you confidence and whatnot. But again, the objective to to reach the Champions League, and that has been achieved. The added advantage of finishing above Manchester City, that's a good thing, but it's not really something that the players are going to be really that bothered about, because that's not really your goal at the moment. And the main goal was to somehow finish in the Champions League, and that you have done. And with just 2-3 games remaining, the World Cup coming in, a lot of these United players are going to be in in their national squads who are going to go to the World Cup. So I feel the last 2-3 games, most of the teams, the players are going to be in that mindset, unless and especially you have something to play for. And that is why from the United aspect, I was not really that surprised, if I'm being very honest with you, that the players, in my opinion, did not do enough to win the game, that they did not really, if I'm being very honest, I think they gave like with their 60 to 70%. I did not see their 100% from the Manchester United players. But if I'm a Sunderland fan, and if I look at from Sunderland's perspective, I really thought they would give they would try more. I thought they would show more desire. And if I'm being very honest with you, it felt like there was a 10% more desire from Sunderland as compared to Manchester United. But still, if I'm being very honest, it was not really really not that strong as well. Again, just like United, I feel the Sunderland players, they've done an amazing thing. First season back in the Premier League and whatnot, and mentally they've sort of accepted, which is not a good thing, to be very honest with you. That even if they don't finish, and qualify for the Europe, it's still a great season for Sunderland, which it is. I'm not taking anything away, but when you've got a chance, to make even a bigger history, coming back into the Premier League, and you qualifying for Europe in your first season, that's a big, it's a huge achievement. And I would say that is a big incentive for Sunderland, the players, and the manager as well. But it just felt like today the players were not really up for it again, which is quite surprising because you're the home side. It has been a tough place for every big team to go at Sunderland and try to get something out of that game. And that has been just strong. There's a reason, that's one of the reasons why they are in such a good position where they can qualify for Europe. And even if not qualifying for Europe, there's a big chance they can finish in the top 10, and that's going to be a big achievement from Sunderland as well if they end up finishing the top 10. So I was really surprised. It was a really dull game. I'm not going to deny. It was a hard watch of football, and I really did not expect that. I expected a very entertaining game of football, and I'm really disappointed, to be very honest with you. I sort of understand why this game went, why the way it went. But again, I'm going to say I'm quite disappointed. United, for them, again. The only good topic, and it's a sad thing in a way that after the game of football has finished, the main talking point is about a content creator. I have no hate towards that United Strengths guy. I think it's a unique idea. It's a great idea. But after a game of football, the only talking point is that he's not going to be able to cut his hair. I think that basically shows how the poor the game of football was. That you don't really have anything to talk about. There was an incident where maybe United should have Sunderland maybe should have had a player sent off and whatnot. But again, I'm so sick of talking about the referees, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the Premier League. I really don't want to talk about it. And again, I'm gonna say it, even if they would have sent the player off, I really don't think it matters. I don't think it would have given United any advantage, because as I said, I really don't think the players were really up for it. And they really did not care. That's my outcome of that game. So it did not really matter. And as I said, I'm so sick of talking about the referees, because it's not going to change. I mentally accepted it, that it doesn't matter which game I'm going to watch or which league I'm going to watch. You are going to see stupid decisions from our referees, and you're just going to sit there as a fan, and you're going to scratch your head like, what the hell is happening? You watch it at Serie A, you watch Liga, you watch Bundesliga, the Champions League, La Liga, Premier League, Europa League, whatever football you want to watch. We are going to watch the World Cup, and I have my fingers crossed. But again, I expect it. We're going to watch the World Cup, and in the World Cup as well, you're going to be sitting there. You're going to be like, what is this decision? You're going to have moments like that. So I mentally accepted it. I don't even talk about it that much. And what happened in the Champions League, the penalties given and whatnot. Again, it's part and parcel of the game. Unfortunately, now even with VAR and everything, they are not able to make the decisions and make the correct decision when it really matters. So again, I'm gonna say it's a sad thing that the game is finished, and the talking points are about a red card not being given and a guy who's not going to be able to cut his hair, and we have nothing to talk about the game, the events that happen in the game of football, because that's how poor the game was. And it was a really poor game of football. In the end, it doesn't really matter. Both the teams, I get a point, and both the teams are going to be quite satisfied with it, because again, I keep on saying we are at that stage of the season where the thing is, most of the teams have the things are done, like apart from one or two. Like the title is still happening. If Manchester City don't win today, I think the title might be done this weekend. The relegation is like between two teams, between West Ham and Spurs, and there's a fight for Europe. I think the Champions League is done. There's a fight for European places, the Europa League and Conference League. So do you have, like, apart from three or four teams, like maximum 6 or 7 teams, the rest 13 or 14 teams in the league, it's done for them. So like they are just playing it for the games for the sake of it, and they just want to finish the season off and make sure that they don't get injured, because the World Cup is coming on and they want to play in the World Cup. So most of the games I expect to be like this, and it's going to be boring and whatnot. It could be entertaining, but I think most of them are going to be boring, unfortunately. So it is what it is. You cannot complain anything, and I completely understand the player's mindset. You want to, don't want to, try to overdo it and somehow get an injury, or make a stupid tackle and whatnot, and hurt yourself and miss out on the World Cup. You don't really want to do that, and I think that's what the mindset was, the Sunderland players and the United players as well. So a boring game of football. Both the teams, I get a point, and unfortunately for the United franchise, he has to go on the entire summer without cutting his hair. That's from me in this video. Let me know what you guys thought of the game in the comment section below. Like the video, share it as well. Click on the notification bell, and of course subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 600 subscribers, about 35 subscribers remaining. So please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and help the channel out. Until next time, bye bye.